I got a text from one of my best employees on a Saturday night. She said, and I'm going to show you the actual message, "I honestly don't know if I can do this job." She wasn't failing, she was drowning. And the difference matters more than most owners realize. Because if you look at that message and your first instinct is to question the employee, you're going to miss the real problem every single time. That message wasn't about her, it was about me. Let me back up. It was January 31st, Saturday evening. One of my staff members, I'll call her Kay, texted me about a client who had commented publicly on one of our Facebook posts. The client said that his agent never called him back after he requested a policy review. Kay reached out to me on her own time, a Saturday, because she cared enough to not let it sit over the weekend. She dug through her emails, found what happened, owned her part of it, and then told me something that I think about constantly when I'm building the systems that we're currently building now. She said that the workload was so heavy that she didn't know how to keep up, that everyone was overextended, that it felt selfish to say she was struggling when everyone else was too. That's not an employee problem. That's what happens when good people are put into roles that were never properly designed. And good workers are punished for the bad workers because they automatically pick up their slack. And I had to look at that and say that that's on me, not on her. Now, here's where most agency owners would say, okay, I need to write better job descriptions. And they would be wrong. I had job descriptions. Most agencies do. They list the tasks, they describe the role, they look professional in a folder somewhere, but here's what a traditional job description doesn't do. It doesn't tell your employees what is not their job. It doesn't tell them what to do when 3 things land on their desk at the same time and all of them feel urgent. It does not protect their time from the constant flow of whatever walks through the door. And it doesn't connect their daily work to anything measurable. So there's no way to know if they're winning or drowning until they tell you on a Saturday night. A job description tells someone what their job is. It doesn't tell them how to actually do it inside the chaos of a small business. So here's what we did differently in Watley 2.0. We kept job descriptions, but we rebuilt them around 3 things that traditional job descriptions don't have. First, lane clarity. Every role now has a defined lane. This is your job. This is not your job. When something comes in that doesn't belong to you, there's a routing system for it. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to take it on. You pass it to the right person. That one change alone removes an enormous amount of invisible mental load from your staff. Second, KPIs attached to every role. Every job description now has specific measurable outcomes attached to it. Not just tasks, but results. So the employee knows exactly what winning looks like. And so do I. When Kay told me that she did not know if she could do her job, part of that was because there was no clear definition of what success in that job actually looked like. She was working hard, but had no way to measure whether it was the right hard work. It causes frustration. Third, a priority hierarchy built into the role. This one is simple, but most agencies never do it. Your job description now tells you explicitly your core responsibilities, takes priority over everything else. And when a wild card comes in during the day, your primary work doesn't stop. The wild card goes to the routing system. Your lane stays protected. And fourth, a tiered client system. Not every client gets the same level of attention. And that sounds harsh until you realize that treating a $200 annual premium client the same as a $15,000 annual premium client is how you burn out your best people on the wrong work. We built 3 layers, 3 tiers. Tier 1 clients get proactive outreach, priority service, and face-to-face reviews. Tier 2 gets standard service cycles, and Tier 3 gets efficient handling and appropriate escalation paths. Your staff now knows exactly how to prioritize their day without having to make the call themselves every single time. When Kay got that midterm reshop request from a client who asks every few months. She didn't have a system to handle it. Now she does. Route it appropriately, document it in the AMS, and move on. That's not a job description, that's a system. Now I want to be honest with you about something. We didn't hand everyone new job descriptions and see everything magically change overnight. People go back to their old habits, especially when things get busy, especially when the volume is high and it feels faster to just handle whatever is in front of you than to route it correctly. We're still working on that 6 weeks in. We gave everyone 6 months to transition, but because behavior change takes time and grace, and the KPIs aren't punitive, they're directional. They tell us where things are working and where we need to adjust the system, not where to point the finger. Here's the thing I told Kay that night that I'll tell you now. What happened is the result of volume and a system that hasn't kept up with how the agency has grown. That's on me, not you. If your employees are drowning, the first question isn't, what are they doing wrong? The first question is, what did I build that's making this harder than it needs to be? That Saturday night text was the moment that I stopped telling myself that the agency was running fine. It wasn't fine. It was running on the goodwill of people who cared too much to say so. Watley 2.0 is fixing that, and the role clarity system is where we started because you can't fix anything else until people know exactly what their actual responsibilities are. Next week, I'm going to talk about documentation. Sounds sexy, right? Specifically, what happens when everything your agency knows lives inside people's heads, and one of those people is you. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This series follows the actual rebuild in sequence, and each episode builds on the last. Your people are probably better than your systems. It's time to give them something worth working inside.